Welcome to another CEOism podcast. We have Cal Barnes with us today. He's an actor. He's also a film producer and CEO at 19 Films. That's what we're going to talk about today. This podcast is brought to you by podfire.com. That's my podcasting company. If you need help starting, scaling, being invited to a podcast, or even finding sponsors for your own podcast, you can go to podfire.com. Cal, welcome to the pod. Can you tell me a bit more about yourself and about 19 Films?
Hi, Charles. Yeah, thanks for having me. It's an honor. 19 Films is an independent production company. I started in 2011 as an actor, mainly to take more control over my acting career and write and produce my own work to star in. We own 18 feature screenplay IPs, several novel IPs. We've produced multiple short films. We just produced our first feature film, The Asteroid Experience, that played the festival circuit last year. It has won some awards, which is really exciting. And we're currently we're in heavy development and entering the pre-production phase for my next crime thriller, Infinite Limits. Infinite Limits is a story about a streetwise detective with a haunted past who enlists the help of a pretty young philosophy genius to help him track a serial killer that's been using paradoxes to kill his victims. So we just went to AFM for that. We have a lot of interest from financing companies and some big starlets that are interested in as well. Can't name any names at this time, but it's very exciting, and we're looking to make it for about 3.2 million. So it's a big level up for me. Yeah.
Very exciting. Tell me about your acting career and how you got started.
Yeah, so acting, I found acting in college. I didn't really grow up in an artist family, so it kind of came to me later in life. I was always a good writer since I was a kid, so I guess I kind of had the artist gene. In college, I went to Portland State University. I was studying creative writing. And in my last few semesters, I took drama courses and really excelled. And I had a great teacher, Mike O'Connell, and he kind of was like, he basically said, you could really do this. This is something you could do. And I guess that really meant a lot to me to hear that. Teachers are very valuable. They can really help foster talent. So that's how I found acting. And then I drove down to LA. I packed up my GTI when I was 21. I had $300 to my name, and I just drove down to Los Angeles to start my life.
And why not scale this acting career? Why did you decide to start a company as well?
So when I first moved to LA, I auditioned at an agent. I did a lot of work myself. I got a lot of short films. I was competing with a lot of, kid actors, child actors who'd been acting since they were like 5, that already had as many years as I have now acting when I first moved here. So that was pretty challenging. There's nothing fair about it. It's just the way it is. So I kind of saw early on that, I'd probably have to start taking more control of my career in order to sort of get positioned correctly in the industry. Just because I lost so many roles, I often would get casting directors would tell me, you had the best audition, but the producers want to go with this, this actor that's been doing it for a lot longer. So that was difficult. So I was like, I could write. I felt I could write better scripts than I was even seeing. So I started writing, and then I produced my first short film, Plunge, to kind of try producing. And I had such a good experience that I decided to start my own company and begin to work towards making feature films.
Right. And what role has meditation and yoga played in your life so far? How did that make you a better actor and better CEO?
Yeah, yoga meditation's huge. I haven't missed a day of yoga and meditation since 2006, 2017. It's crucial. It's really helped me deal with I do 3 things. I do hatha yoga to warm up, and then I do a kundalini yoga set, and then I do this Wim Hof method breath work. And I also take cold showers before that. So doing the full Wim Hof. But yeah, it really helps me manage stress. It really helps me keep my endorphin levels up, and I guess find balance in this very fast-paced and very demanding industry.
Right. And you have a bunch of IPs right now under 19 Films. How do you decide what direction to take? What movie to move or what script to move ahead with, which one to convert into a full-fledged film and production vs just cutting the project because it's likely not going to work?
That's a great question. Yeah, so not every script there's a process. The screenplay comes first, and then you kind of write with knowing that a percentage of them are ever going to make it into films. I can bang out, I think the fastest I ever wrote a feature screenplay was in like 3 days. That's a bit fast for quality, but I'd say on average it takes me 3 weeks to a month to write a first draft of a script. So that's a lot faster than making a feature film. At minimum for a feature, if it's going to be at least a year if you have the fastest team in the world and nothing goes wrong. Your average, you're looking at 2 years, and then quite possibly three to four. It just depends on the budget, and the more money you have, the faster you can typically speed up the process. So with feature scripts, yeah, you write them, and it's kind of interesting how they come back. Like for the Astrid experience, I wrote that first draft in 2012, and it hit production in 2019. So there was a 7-year gap between the time I wrote it and then the time it kind of surfaced where I found the right people that were looking to make a project like that. And I also had the resources to make a project like that. And now with Infinite Limits, which is even a much bigger script as well, budget-wise and location-wise and crew-wise than the Astrid experience, I wrote that I just checked my copyrights the other day because I had to pull them out to give them to the co-production company. But I wrote that in 2012. I thought I wrote it later, but the first draft was actually written in 2012 as well. I kind of had a pretty big writing year in around 2012, 2013. So that's actually coming into production now 11 years later. So it is quite common where you'll write something and it won't really be ready until like 10 years later, when either people are looking for it, either the culture has changed to where there's a demand for it, or you grow into it. I never thought I'd be starring as the detective when I first wrote the script when I was in my early 20s, but now I've kind of for an early 30s actor, I've kind of aged perfectly into the role. So it's pretty cool how that happened. So yeah, I still have many IPs that I don't really plan to make myself, but I have people asking me for them. So I'm sending out scripts, and my involvement will depend on the project. Sometimes it might be just a straight sale and I walk away. Usually at this point, they want my involvement on some level as like at least a producer. If I'm going to star in it and produce it as well, that's a much bigger conversation, and I'm going to put a lot more into it. And there's going to be a lot more I care about, and a much bigger conversation than just the check. So it really depends. There's a project for everything. And, I don't know I think maybe not every screenplay is actually worthy of the screen. I mean, there's some scripts that are really good, but maybe it's just not meant to be a movie. And that's kind of also part of the process. So, yeah, I think in general, you kind of expect not every script to get made, but I feel like the more successful you get, it's a high chance that maybe down the line, people will want to make your stuff just because of that. So, I guess we'll see. I got a lot of unproduced screenplays on the old hard drive.
What do you have to say about the Hollywood strikes and AI potentially writing scripts instead of qualified screenplay copywriters?
That's a great question. I think this is my personal opinion, and this is just from me experimenting with like these programs. Because I'm a writer, I'm SAG and WGA. So as a writer, I think the reason the writer settles, I don't think the writers have anything to worry about right now, at least not in the next 3 years until the next contract comes up, because like an AI can't write like Black Swan. It can't write Seven. It can't write like an A-list script. It can't innovate. It just doesn't have the capacity. It can regurgitate. So I think for like A-list writers and really innovative writers, there's nothing to worry about. It can't even compete. Even like with stuff I'm writing, it can't even really keep up with what I'm trying to do. Like I'm trying to use it as a tool. And I say this humbly, like not with any ego. I can't really help me, because the stuff I'm trying to do is just beyond its really ability. At least in terms of what I know, the programs I know, maybe there is a program that can keep up, but not yet. And so I don't think writers really have too much to worry about currently. If you're writing Hallmark scripts, like basic scripts that can be regurgitated and they're nothing against it, but if it's very simple, it's been done 100 times, yes, a ChatGPT could pump one of those out in a second. That's really just the same formula. It could write formulaic stuff, but I don't think it can really innovate too well. So I don't currently think writers have too much to worry about. Actors is a different story with the image and likeness. It's definitely a problem with people wanting to buy out someone's image and use that in perpetuity. That's not cool at all. I think that's pretty universally accepted that that's not a good thing. In terms of, I think there's space for both. I've talked to a lot of filmmakers about this and like using AI. We already use it in our post-production. It's great for menial tasks like, cutting down time to do things that are like really repetitive in post, like syncing sound, doing different level checks, like sorting stuff that you have to do manually that could take a couple days. If it can do that and just cut that out, great. So like it's great for that. But most of my filmmaker friends, they think that for the most part, for the first few years, at least the first 5 years, there's going to be place for both in the market. It's a big market. There's high demand. We have a global audience now. And I think that there's going to be a place for both AI movies and human-made movies. Especially now if AI ever gets to a point where it's as good or better than humans, which it's definitely not. And at least for the top of Hollywood, it really is not nearly as good from what I've looked at. But if it gets to the point where it can, that's going to be another bridge we're going to have to cross. Like, I feel like it's pretty far from that across the board. But can it ever actually innovate on its own and think like a human mind instead of just copying a human mind? I guess that's we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
As the CEO of 19 Films, what are your top 3 priorities for this year, and what is coming there in 2024? What would be your top 3 goals for 2024 as well?
So top 3 goals for 2024 is get the rest of our financing for Infinite Limits. We have a pretty good cast right now, attach more cast enough to get pre-sales so that we can finance the project, get it into production. We want to shoot, it's we're titling it a rain-soaked crime thriller. So we want to shoot in fall. We're looking at a city like Vancouver or Canada, potentially in Europe. We want to get funded and into production and shooting by fall of 2024. That's the main goal. Another goal is I'm publishing the second novel. I'm finishing the second novel of a IP I built called Son of Neverland. The first script is written. The first novel is published. That's really like a $200 million plus studio project I'm building towards. So I continue to build my brand as an actor, writer. I'm sort of just leveling up into something like that and building the IP. Books are awesome. Studios love books. Fans love books, readers love books. So building a fantasy series that I can eventually, turn into sort of, it's kind of like my magnum opus right now. I don't know how long the series will go. I'm on book 2. I'm very excited about it. And so that would be a goal, is to get that published in 2024. And then my third goal would probably be to level up my representation as I keep moving forward. Got some good reps now, but looking to partner with some more management companies and people that can match my level. So I think doing that as well in 2024 when the time is right is another goal as well.
And then the Peter Pan book, Son of Neverland, how did you get the rights to write like on the Peter Pan series if you want, and where do you want to take that?
Yeah, so for Son of Neverland, the cool thing is the Peter Pan IP is actually in the public domain. So there's actually been lots of works done off of it. Many books, a lot more than I thought when I started. I don't think anyone's ever quite cracked it. My goal is to really, in fact, I think Hollywood's been failing with this IP. This is just my opinion for a long time. The last good movie I thought was Hook. I thought most of the things that have come out on it have been the same story. They keep trying to retell the same story. What I've done with it is I've taken it 100 years into the future and made it much more adult. And the stakes and the story is way bigger. You know, in the first book, and this is just the first book, the second book is way bigger, but basically the log line for that is, you know, it's 100 years after the fall of Captain Hook. Peter Pan and his gang have to defend Neverland against a dark god that's coming back to take the world. So it's really a full world, multi-worlds, multi-dimensional story. And yeah, I just don't think anyone's ever done it right. I know that Hollywood loves a good fairy tale. I know that they love proven IPs. IP is the most powerful aspect to getting a budget and getting greenlit is a IP that is already known. Especially now, it's more important than ever. So I think building something with this is, yeah, I'm really excited to do it. And when, you know, there's one example would be Snow White and the Huntsman. So with that film, they took a fairy tale and then the writer took it and he matured the property and created a new story with it, you know? So that's something I like to see more of. I just don't think people have really been doing it well, especially with this. So I hope to be that person for it.
Where do you source all that creativity?
Where did it come from? Yeah, you know, I think it comes from above, honestly. Like you get to that point where I sit and write and then I kind of go into a trance and then I come out of it and it just comes out perfect, fully formed. And, you know, like, for example, like, I've heard this people say that before when they write something, you know, truly amazing or give a performance that's amazing. It's more of like a radio, you know, like the radio isn't the music. It just tunes in and is sort of the channel where the music comes through. So I feel that, you know, for me, it's been handling my it's an inside job for me. It's been an inside job. And the more that I can like get out of my own way, you know, I've always been my worst enemy as a creative. And so handling all of that interior battle and just getting out of the way and then kind of like letting the, you know, the light of the spirit or whatever you want to call it come through, you know, that's really where the creativity comes from. I feel is just the more healthy I am mentally, spiritually, and physically, the more open of a channel I am to kind of channel these greater stories. Cause like something like Son of Neverland, like I look at that and I'm like, that's a story that's just beyond me personally. Like, I feel like that's a story that wants to be told by the universe and it's going to be told by the universe with or without me. So, you know, I just open myself up and I'm, you know, just grateful to be sort of the conduit that was in the right place at the right time to tell the story.
And one could argue that you listen to Peter Pan and that you're bringing your current Cal reality to it. But yeah, I get also what you're saying. There's this force out there and this mysterious energy that we can tap into. Had a convo with a guest on the pod about that today. Talking about that, what does your reality look like? What's your day to day?
Day to day, yeah, you know, I gotta have a little bit of a routine I try to stick to. It's hard in entertainment because everything's all over the place. Like just last week, I was just A at FM the whole week, so there wasn't much routine there. But yeah, even then, I get up. You know, I always get up a few hours before I need to do anything. I don't turn my phone on. This is like really important for me, and I've been, you know, people ask me like how I do it. I just don't turn my phone on in the morning because, you know, as soon as I turn this on, it just does not stop all day and I can't create. So I have to get my creativity in or I don't feel right. It's like the most important thing really is that I keep creating because it's kind of part of how I stay healthy. It's just like something I need to do, like, you know, working out or drinking, eating. It's just something I have to do. So I just don't turn my phone on. I might do a quick check of my emails just to see if there's anything really important that I should need to get back to, and all the other ones can wait. And then I send, you know, a reply if needed. And then I just turn my email off. I don't ever even turn my phone on. It stays on airplane mode from the moment I go to sleep until I write. And so then I get up, I make a French press of coffee, and then I sit down and I write for about an hour to 2 hours, however long the energy feels like it's coming through. And then, I kind of feel it kind of just leaves me. Like I've written whatever coming, and then I kind of feel when it's time to move on. Because I've been doing it for so long, it's just kind of a feel thing. I used to have like a word limit, but I don't anymore. I usually probably write between 500 and 1,500 words a day. Somewhere between there is where I land, probably around 750, 1,000, something like that. And then, from there, I turn the phone on. If there's anything to get back to, do that really quick. Then I take a cold shower, work out, yoga, meditation. Then I usually if I have time, I'll take a skateboard through I live in Studio City, take a little skateboard through the neighborhood to just get out in the fresh air. Skateboarding is a good pastime, so I kind of like to keep doing it. Keeps me young at heart. And from there, in the evening, just do a lot of business administration work. So when I get back from that in the afternoon, lots of emails, lots of calls, interviews, stuff like that. And then in the evening, if I have something to do, I'll go out. And if not, I'll usually just keep working through the evening, and then, go to sleep, do it all over again. Not a bad life.
Do you feel that you're growing on a daily basis with that routine?
I do. Yeah, I do. I really do. And, I'm more of a night person by nature, but I got no problem flipping the schedule. Some nights if I have to be up really early, like I'll go to bed at 2 and get up at 4. Like I had no problem with schedule flips. If it's my choice, I kind of like late morning to night more. That's kind of like more of a schedule I enjoy. And I feel I try the morning out every once in a while. I'll try the 5 a.m. stuff out. I don't mind that. I just feel that I'm more productive on a later schedule. I just work with the way the energy is in the world better. But I feel like I'm really growing. I think it's really important to address mental, spiritual, and physical health every day. And I think that people that deny, I think you have to do it all, So I know a lot of people that kind of address 2 of the 3. I feel like for me, at least, I have to do all 3, or I suffer.
Right. And asymmetric schedule can be beneficial. Stressors sometimes, like not sleeping is interesting. It brings resistance and adaptation in you. In terms of finances, does 19 Films bring out cash flow? Like, how do you finance all of that?
19 Films. So we invested a bit in my last film. For Infinite Limits, it's mainly partners. There's a lot of ways to finance a film. There's so many ways. You have private equity, which is what everyone knows. You have tax incentives, which are really important. That's just free money, so you need to figure out where you want to shoot and find the best place that gives you the locations where you can get the best tax incentives. You have pre-sales. To get those, you generally need a certain genre of script with a certain level of cast, but that is typically how mid-level films are financed. And then you have gap financing. So after those 3 things, if let's say you got 80% of your budget, then you can go to a gap financing company. They're typically last money in, first money out, and then they'll finance the rest. Then you close the budget, and then you go make the movie. That's kind of the level we're making films at right now. And for the most part, 19 Films is a creative production company. So we handle, the IP. We handle mainly the creative at this point. There's a high chance that when we get more capital, we'll invest ourselves in future projects. But right now, it's mainly creative. We handle most of the creative.
And what are your financial goals in the next 10 years with 19?
19 Films. I want to expand. I definitely, I want to continue sort of the vision that we had, is just to make the coolest, most entertaining films we can. And, my barometer is I want to make stuff I want to see myself. That's what I want to see on screen. I've been very disappointed in the 2000. I love films from the 1990s. It's probably the best decade of film, in my opinion. And the 2000s are great too. This last decade has just been weak, honestly, in comparison. It's been pretty sad, actually, to see our industry go this way. There's just too much politically correct nonsense in films. we're not politicians, we're storytellers. We should not be changing things. We should not be censored in what we want to say. I'm really against that, because there's an area in the world for that, and there's an area that's not, and it's not in storytellers. So that doesn't make good art. That just makes boring, like, fake things. And there's way too much of that happening. And I don't care what anyone says from the artist perspective. That's just how it is. You can't censor art. It's not art if you censor it. That's just, I don't see how people don't understand this. But anyways, that's kind of where we're at. So, I really want to continue just making what we want, and the way we do that is just make great stuff that's undeniably awesome. From this, it all starts with the script. The reason that I think my company's been doing well is I write great stuff, and I make sure that, it's good on the script, and we don't skip over that, and we make sure that it's innovative, because it's never going to rise above that. That's what you're shooting, it's going to be that for the most part. So if it's not on the page, it's not going to be on the screen. So, if you write something that's truly awesome, there's not a lot. If you have enough people that want to help you make it, you can find the people that want to make it right, because you're always going to run into people that want to change stuff and, want to get their hands in it. And when I was younger, I had that happen a lot. I have features I'm really not happy about. And when I look back on them, all I see is how much better it could have been, and how, I just wasn't in a position where I could have it done my way. And, sometimes that's how it is when you're coming up. So, and that's fine. I just, as I continue to make stuff, I just want to make sure it's made right and how it was intended to be made. Because every time I do that, I'm happy with it and other people are happy with it. So yeah, so I just want to keep making stuff that's awesome, that has a good message, and that's entertaining. The key at the end of the day is just, is it an awesome story? Is it entertaining? And really, that's my job. I try to stay out of things that's really not in my wheelhouse. I just stick to entertainment, and if the message is baked into the story that I want to tell, great. And I'm also looking to work with other people that want to do the same thing. And I think we're coming out of it. I think the pendulum swung, way too far. And I feel like that sometimes we did need to correct some stuff, but I feel like it's coming back, and people realize that, making bad movies isn't sustainable. We got to get back to making good movies. And there are good movies made every year. It's just, comparatively, we just haven't been hitting as many good films as we were. And, this is called the entertainment industry. Our job is to make good content. And, that's really what it boils down to. So with 19 films, I want to participate in that vision.
Love it, dude. Where can people find out more about you at 19 Films?
19 Films, yeah, you can go to the website, 19films.com. You can check out my website, calbarnes.com. If you want to follow what I'm doing, the only social media I really do is LinkedIn and Instagram. So at Instagram, I'm just at Cal Barnes. And if you can, for LinkedIn, you can just type me in. I should pop up. Yeah.
That was Cal Barnes and Charles Cormier for another CEO Wisdom podcast.com.